Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a country in mourning today as the body of President George Herbert Walker Bush makes one final journey to Washington, D.C. before he's laid to rest. Earlier this afternoon, the casket holding the 41st president was loaded onto a presidential plane at Ellington Field Joint Reserve Base in Houston. For this flight, Air Force One is being called Special Air Mission 41. The former president's body was met there by his son, President George H.W. Bush, who looked on as the military performed a 21-gun salute. Hundreds of elected officials and community members were also in attendance to say their final goodbyes to the president. The body of President George H.W. Bush is now making its way to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, where he will then be taken to the Capitol. Joining me now from Joint Base Andrews is CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Hi, Ed. The former president is expected to arrive there at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Who is waiting for him, and what will we see?
You'll see a large contingent of military. He's going to get full honors here once he lands at Joint Base Andrews, which of course is home to the jets that we dub Air Force One. As you mentioned, it's called Special Air Mission 41 today. There'll be a full military salute to him, including a 21-gun salute from cannons that are set up here on the tarmac awaiting his arrival. Also here will be members of the Secret Service that protected him and his family when he was vice president and president, representatives of the crew of the USS George H.W. Bush, the naval aircraft carrier that's based in Virginia, as well as representatives of the CIA, where he served as director in the 1970s. And notably, there'll be members of the Army Golden Knights, the parachute team that he parachuted with 4 times for his 70th, 80th, 85th, and 90th birthdays, really marking remarkable achievements in his own life, but also pointing out that people his age could do such things. They will be here as well, of course, members of the Bush family. Some are aboard the flight as it makes its way here. Others are expected to greet it here at Andrews. Others will not be seen until the ceremony later today at the U.S. Capitol.
And so, Ed, when the late president arrives in Washington, he will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. What more can you tell us about those plans?
Yeah, he's the 11th U.S. president to lie in state, and the first since Gerald Ford in 2007. This is a pretty standard, if solemn, affair there in the Rotunda. It will be led by Vice President Pence and other senior congressional leaders who will also speak briefly. They'll lay wreaths in commemoration of the former president. And then between Monday evening and Wednesday morning, the general public is invited to come and pay their respects. It's become sort of a frequent Washington tradition. Just earlier this year, of course, John McCain lay in state. Before that, there have been some other senators and other notables in recent years. So if you live in the Washington area or want to come to the Washington area, it's a really interesting thing to do, especially given that it'll be open overnight. On Wednesday morning, of course, things head over to the National Cathedral, where there will be a funeral mass that is expected to be attended by the President and First Lady, the Bush family, and thousands of other invited guests. We know now that former President George W. Bush, his son, the presidential biographer John Meacham, the former Republican senator from Wyoming Alan Simpson, and the former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney will be the 4 people to eulogize the former president, and the former First Lady, the daughter-in-law Laura Bush, plus his granddaughter Jenna Bush Hager are expected to give readings during the service.
I'm sure those eulogies and those readings will be something to hear. Now, Ed, President Bush will then be laid to rest on Thursday. What further details do we have on his burial as of now?
That's right. He'll come back here to Andrews and then fly back to Texas. He will be transported from Houston to College Station aboard a special train that's been retrofitted for this event. Many years ago, Union Pacific painted one of its locomotives in the color scheme of the jet that we know as Air Force One, and it's been dubbed Locomotive 4141. It will carry the former president's casket to College Station, Texas. He'll be taken to the campus of Texas A&M University and will be buried at the private Bush family plot there at the Presidential Library alongside the former First Lady Barbara and their daughter Robin, who died at the age of 3 from leukemia.
What few days the country has ahead of it to celebrate the life of this extraordinary man. Ed O'Keefe, thank you.